There's this wonderful quote from the book Sheltering Sky, where he says, "Because we do not know when we will die, we get to think of life as an inexhaustible well. And yet everything happens only a certain number of times, and a very small number, really. How many more times will you remember a certain afternoon of your childhood, an afternoon that is so deeply a part of your being that you can't even conceive of your life without it? Perhaps 4 or 5 times more, perhaps not even that. How many more times will you watch the full moon rise? Perhaps 20, and yet it all seems limitless."
I love The Crow. When my mom introduced it to me as a kid, she immediately told me about how the main actor, Brandon Lee, died during the filming due to a faulty blank bullet, and that always got me wondering how they were able to finish the film. Brandon's death was tragic. He was young, his career as an actor was just kicking off, and he was going to get married just weeks after filming was set to complete. Now, this poses a major challenge for the filmmakers when they still have a film to complete, while still remaining respectful to Brandon and his family. Luckily, Brandon's fiancée and mother encouraged the crew to finish the film. However, they had to find a new distributor as Paramount dropped them, wanting to avoid controversy. But Miramax later picked them up, and they were able to successfully advertise the film without any controversy. With this taken care of, they still had to figure out how they were going to incorporate the remaining scenes they had not yet completed. And since most of the scenes had already been captured, there were really only a handful that they needed to use a double to complete, all in the apartment during and after the visit from the Jolly Pirate Gang. Brandon's body was digitally added to the door frame here, using shots from the alley scene earlier where it was raining. They even added some rain around the doorway as if there's a hole in the roof to make it fit. Eric's final death scene was filmed with a double, and they changed it up so that he was hit by knives when entering the apartment, shot in the back, and then thrown out the window. Where his face was digitally added over the double along with some CG blood. This scene was also shot by a double, and his face was added digitally to fit within the broken shards of the mirror. His face was also added digitally within each lightning strike you see here. And lastly, when Sarah visits the apartment, a body double was used for Eric, and they never fully reveal his face here, so no need for additional editing. Even with these edits, it doesn't change the movie too drastically, but I did find a copy of the finalized script and used it to compare with the finalized cut of the movie. And as you'll see by my notations, a lot appears to have changed. However, this is a part of the natural filmmaking process, as text doesn't always translate to the screen so well. But one major difference I did notice was the absence of a pretty major character known as the Skull Cowboy. So of course I do some research on this mysterious new character, and it turns out that they had yet to film these scenes with Brandon, so they ultimately had to be cut entirely. This is pretty big because without these scenes, we're left with a pretty major plot hole at the conclusion of the movie. When Eric goes to fight Top Dollar in the final fight scene, we come to find out that Eric has lost his invulnerability, and it's not entirely clear why. Now, they attempt to rectify this at the beginning of the film by adding some narration from Sarah.
People once believed that when someone dies, a crow carries their soul to the land of the dead. But sometimes, something so bad happens that a terrible sadness is carried with it, and the soul can't rest. Then sometimes, just sometimes, the crow can bring that soul back to put the wrong things right.
And then they had the scene where Top Dollar's sister/girlfriend explains essentially this to Top Dollar and his bodyguard.
The crow is his link between the land of the living and the realm of the dead.
So kill the crow and destroy the man.
Leading to the scene where they incapacitate the crow. But then the crow recovers, but Eric doesn't? What? Well, it turns out that the reason that Eric actually lost his invulnerability was because he had already exacted his revenge on the men who killed him and his fiancée. He is supposed to go directly back to the land of the dead to reunite with his fiancée, but if he meddles in the land of the living, he is doomed never to see his fiancée again. This is incredibly powerful because it implies that Eric is willing to sacrifice everything to save Sarah and free the city of its burden, Top Dollar, who continuously terrorizes the city year over year. But in the final scene of the movie, Eric is reunited with his fiancée anyways, which kind of makes Eric's sacrifice meaningless because might as well do it if he's not going to lose anything, right? Still love this goddamn movie anyways. It can't rain all the time.